Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to a YouTube bonus. We are back from vacation, and I'm a little distressed, I have to say. I don't like when poor Americans who are primarily defenseless are harmed. That really gets me angry. It's kind of a bullying thing, but it's worse than that. Because we are a country where all citizens are created equal. That's what we fought the British to have. And we're not. So the wealthy people, like me, can afford security, can afford nice houses, big fences, all of that. We don't have to deal with thugs on the street, or we live in neighborhoods where that can't happen. Police respond like that. But poor Americans, they don't have that. They're not protected. So you got a urban situation in Chicago and New York, and a grandmother goes out to the grocery store. Some drug addict decides to knock her down and mug her, take her money, take her groceries. Guy's not going to get caught. Everybody knows it. Is that right? No, it's not. So in Chicago is way beyond any kind of rational thought. President Trump's finally getting involved. Back in his first term, I talked to the president about Chicago and the murder rate and the violent crime there. I said, the only way that you're going to stop or mitigate this crime against the poor is to bring in the National Guard, because the local authorities in Chicago are not going to stop it. Nor is Governor Pritzker in Springfield, Illinois. They don't care. And now, we're 5 years later, and it's horrific. In the last 4 years, okay, there have been almost 4,000 Chicagoans killed. 4,000. 83% African American. How about that? Last year, 573 Chicagoans killed, most of them by handguns. 74% black, 22% Hispanic. So Anglos were only 4%. Yet the black mayor of Chicago, Trump's fault, O'Reilly's fault. That's why it's happening. So the drug gangs are doing it all. Everybody knows that. They fight turf. They go in, they're heavily armed, no arrests. Over Labor Day weekend, it was harrowing what happened in Chicago. And no arrests. It was something like 60 shootings, no arrests, not one. So it goes on and on and on and on and on. So Donald Trump knows this, and he's taking action. He's threatening to send the National Guard and other federal agencies into Chicago, like he did in D.C. But it's easier to do it in D.C. because the federal government already runs that place, District of Columbia. Chicago's independent. Okay, state of Illinois runs it. And the governor, Pritzker, as I said, he is an extreme progressive ideologue. And the mayor of Johnson, of Chicago, he's worse than Lori Lightfoot. I didn't think anybody could be worse than Lori Lightfoot. He's worse. So I'm going to run you 3 sound bites now about the reaction. Actually, it's, I got 3 sound bites. First, we're going to do Pritzker, who's reacting to Trump threatening to send in the Guard. Go.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026, or frankly, take control of those elections. He'll just claim that there's some problem with an election, and then he's got troops on the ground that can take control, if in fact he's allowed to do this.
Are you talking about invasion? Are you talking about him suspending elections? Or is it your belief he's an authoritarian?
Look, I can tell you this. I built a Holocaust museum. I know what the history was of a constitutional republic being overturned after an election in 53 days. And I'm very, very concerned.
He's a loon. The man is a loon. Okay, he says that Trump's sending in National Guard so he can control the midterm election because there'll be troops on the ground. That's insane. All right, here is the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Go.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down.
Okay. He doesn't want to put anybody in jail. Doesn't want to put violent criminals in jail. Doesn't want to do it. Now, what's plan B, Mayor Johnson? He didn't have plan B. Oh, we need more community services. Yeah. Okay. You're selling narcotics. People are using narcotics in your city. And the gangs are providing that product. How do you stop that? Oh, we need more rehab. This is so ridiculous that it's stunning. Now, most of the people in Chicago are good people. They can't do anything about this stranglehold that the progressives have on the governorship and the mayorship. They can't. Because the minority communities continue to vote for Lori Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson. They're voting against their own safety. Now, there's a lot of reasons why they do that, but the primary reason is they live in a bubble. They don't hear the other side. They don't take the time out to think, maybe this progressive stuff's not working for us. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick, particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months' supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. The cops in Chicago, sketchy traditionally, I think are trying. Here's the superintendent. Go.
So we have to find a way to hold these most violent criminals accountable because we know the robberies and things of that nature may lead to higher levels of crime, people being injured, and all the way to people being killed. We really have to do something when it comes to penalties for people who commit violent acts.
All right, so the police chief says we got to punish people, and the mayor says, no, we're not going to punish anybody. That's it. So the top cop seems to understand, but he takes orders from the mayor. And the mayor won't punish anybody. Now, if you live in Chicago on the Gold Coast, in a big high rise or whatever, you got your own protection, as I said at the beginning of this. But if you're down on Martin Luther King Boulevard and pretty close to the Obama Library, and President Obama didn't do anything about crime in Chicago, nothing. Nobody's going to protect you. And they're not even going to catch the person who beats the hell out of you or kills your son or daughter. They won't catch him. Because nobody's going to testify against those drug gangs, like Mexico. If you inform or testify against a drug gang in Chicago or any other major city, you're a target. They'll kill you. And maybe your family. That's why there's no conviction. And even if the state did secure a conviction, even if it did, Mayor Johnson don't want to even bring the case. You tell the DA, we need community involvement. We need more money. More money. We need more money. Not more money for more cops. Oh, no. More money for community services. These drug gangs who make a fortune, they're going to just put down all of their violence, and they're going to toddle across and go, yeah, I want to be a member of the community now. Let's play some basketball. Now, I'm being harsh because this situation comes back to human lives. And I'm telling you, Johnson and Pritzker and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party doesn't care. Because they live in this theoretical world where the U.S. justice system is racist. You heard Johnson say that. Ah, you're racist. You're a racist, O'Reilly, for wanting more punishment on violent criminals. You're a racist. Okay. What percentage of people being murdered in Chicago are African Americans? That's racist. 84%. That's racist. Right there, Mayor Johnson. And you are A, incompetent, B, a phony, C, apathetic, and D, should be out of there. She should resign tomorrow. That's my YouTube commentary. Spread the word. See you soon.